Well, yeah. Well, what's this about the fifth one I'll come to, and I haven't had time to get you. I'm recording too, by the way.
Okay.
All right. Now I did notice, like 5 events ago, I was going to come and talk to you about. I saw you put a video up about the rollout of the vaccine. So is the government promoting the vaccines, but they're not going to force everyone to. They're just going to make the legislation where they're going to make the privatised companies force the vaccines on people and say, well, you can't come here, you can't come to the hotel, you can't come wherever, because there's places doing it now, and there's the conflict of interest where some people going, well, mate, I shouldn't have to have the vaccine to come in here because I'm a citizen of this country.
Yeah, and so the freedom that you're invoking as a citizen of this country cuts both ways. Nobody's doing anything by virtue of law. Both of you have the freedom to determine what it is that you do. And so if you're telling other people what to do, but saying they can't tell you what to do, that's not exactly how freedom works.
But they're saying to not let us have access to their venue. They're saying it's just government regulation.
It's their private venue. They're free to in the same way as you're free not to.
Oh, so they could turn around to the government and say, no, you can fuck off with your regulations. We're going to do what we want.
Well, you are.
Well, that's what you're saying.
No, I'm not. So what I'm telling you is that your freedom not to get the vaccine is your freedom, and their freedom to say, this is my place, and I've got a requirement here, is exactly the same freedom. And the way that you balance it is that you let people both exercise their freedom.
Then why do some people that I've met that have got these venues, they turn to me and say, oh no, this is government regulation. We're only doing this because it's government regulation. Well, if it's government regulation...
Give me an example.
Oh, well, there's probably been half a dozen different venues I've come to and done it, but I don't keep notes on who they are.
Right.
So when I walked in and they say, oh,
if you're talking...
you got to do the QR code. And I go, well, I don't do the QR code. I don't do internet banking on my phone, and I don't do the QR code.
Yeah.
There's certain things as an individual I should be allowed to do with my idiosyncrasies for my past, present and future.
Sure.
So when they say you got to do the QR code, and I go, don't do that. I'm happy to leave my details.
Mm-hmm.
I'll show you my license.
Yeah, I haven't struck a venue yet which doesn't also allow you to just put your name down in hard copy form.
I'm sure there's a few.
Yeah, I think you'll find that that's an option that they offer. And I guess what I'd say to that is that's a slightly different question. There's a few businesses, and easy for me to say this, right? I'm in the federal government. It's usually state laws that are the ones that you're talking about here. There's some venues like, let's say, Nightclub, right, where people in the ordinary course of things would be so packed up against each other and rubbing shoulders and whatever else that poses big risks. And so what the government has said to classes of
we are talking about for a virus with a 99% better recovery rate, aren't we?
Well, I'm also talking about the virus that's killed a lot of people around the world, but luckily we haven't had those outcomes here in Australia.
To your knowledge, how many people have died from the coronavirus, directly died from the coronavirus?
Well, I don't have the current number. I know in Australia it's a very low
figure. Your knowledge. I don't ask for an exact figure. To your knowledge.
You tell me, Ross.
Well, the figures are somewhere between 2 and 3 million people have died, right?
Okay.
Now, that might sound like a lot of people, but when you put it next to the global population figure, which is how many do you think that is?
It is a lot of people, Ross.
No, it's not.
It really is.
It's less than like 1% of 1%.
2 million people is a lot of people. That's more than the population of Brisbane.
More people die of car accidents every year.
They may. And of course, there's a few little ways that people's freedoms are impacted there as well. They make us wear a seatbelt, for instance.
Yeah, but some rules are actually common sense, and like Channel 7, when I went to that pro-choice march the other week, which is another one's happening tomorrow.
Yeah.
I actually interviewed Channel 7, or I had a chat with them. I interviewed the cameraman at Channel 9. Now, the girl on Channel 7 went over to have a chat with someone, and I jumped in and said, like, what are you looking for someone to talk to? And I had a chat with her, and I literally said to her, with the bubonic plague, that killed 1/3 of the population of the planet. Now, the population was only 450 million at the time. The Spanish flu killed 5% of the population, but the population was 1.6 billion at the time. Now, right now, this flu, this pandemic, this overrated pandemic, I'll call it, has killed somewhere between 2 and 3, even if it killed 4 million people. So what? you put that next to the global population, that brings it down to 0.00 something.
Ross,
But
I encourage you to run for politics, and you run on a platform where you're telling people that 4 million dead people doesn't matter and it's statistically insignificant. That's not how people feel about numbers like that.
look, if people are too scared and too fearful of death, then they're going to be too scared to live, because death is it's like death and taxes. Now, the only sure things in life is death. Now, if you're going to be, everyone's going to go around keep wrapping people up in bubble wrap. I'm pretty sure they're not doing this in freaking Islam, because they can just go, oh, it's Allah's choice. Bad luck. You get herd immunity.
Well,
Done.
You'll be aware that the federal government pretty much at every turn has been the one that tries to get the balance right, okay, between allowing people to live their lives as best as they can, keeping the economy open, keeping jobs alive, as well as keeping people safe. There's been some other governments that you could probably fairly criticise for only thinking about how they can shut things down.
What about Craig Kelly? What about all the articles Craig Kelly was bringing to light about how much censorship there is on doctors who actually go against the, shall we say, the narrative of the WHO and the mainstream media?
Yeah.
And basically, that was cancel culture, because everyone was calling for his head, but yet all he was doing was producing evidence of people that have been censored that were saying the coronavirus isn't as bad as what everyone's saying it is. And it's not. 99.9% recovery rate, Trevor.
Sure.
Think about it. And I told that Channel 7 crew girl,
Yeah.
and she interviewed me, and I told her, I said, if this pandemic killed 1% of the population, now think about it, that'd be 75 million people. I wouldn't need to be coerced or ordered or fined for not wearing masks and so on. I would see it as a natural progression of my survival, because I would see the results. When you're talking about
I guess
2 or 3 million...
This is what I'm telling you. You're free not to get the vaccine.
Yes, but when the government makes legislation, or whether it be state or federal, it doesn't fucking matter. The federal government have got to be pulled up, because they're supposed to be the head of this country.
Wrong. The federal government under our constitution is not the one on top. Do you understand this? The constitution says the states are the government on top. The states are the ones with plenary powers. The federal government has only been referred powers according to a very small list of items in the constitution. If you think that the federal government is on top in Australia, constitutionally or legally, you're wrong.
Then maybe we do need to have this app put on MyGov so that everyone can kick this ball around and we can formulate a solution. Something we can leave the politicians out of, because they're doing nothing, aren't they? All they're doing is a bit of virtue signalling and council culture.
How about this, Ross? I reckon, you know, we're not out of the woods yet, but I think that we're coming to a time, sometime soon, when Aussies will be able to assess the job that their governments have done here in Australia, and they'll be able to compare the results we've had here in Australia, both on the health front and on the economic front, and any other things.
But I don't want to see you on the end of a rope.
Well, I think you'll find that when most Australians make that comparison, they will look to other countries around the world, other similar countries to ours, island countries like the UK, developed countries like
we'll
the
be Chinese
US
before then,
and so on, and they will probably think that Australia has done relatively well on whatever measure that it is that they choose to compare us.
By the time it gets around to that, between China Dan and Communist Anna here in Queensland.
Hello, Trevor.
Hello, how are you? Good.
Very nice
how are
to
you?
meet you.
Are you filming as well?
Pardon? Well,
He's filming me as well. You can't all film me.
Oh, that's okay.
You're a public
I thought,
figure.
you know, you're a public figure.
I
Oh,
am. What's your
yeah.
name?
Mark. I
Mark?
met you before with Vicky Howard.
I don't remember. Where was
Yes,
it?
New Farm Park.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, with the situation at the moment, I don't know if you're the right person to ask, but
Sure.
we're getting really concerned now because there's a lot of COVID cases that are coming in from overseas, and of course there's always that danger where they
Try some vitamin E, some sunshine, some ivermectin, or
You two need to video each other.
hydroxychloroquine.
It sounds like you're on
Yeah.
opposite sides of the
right.
argument.
Okay, yeah. So it's a bit of a worry that lockdown could happen soon. Can you see it happening yourself there, Trevor?
What do you mean?
More lockdowns coming in because the number of cases that are coming in the country at the moment.
Ross was just telling me that he thinks that the whole thing is overblown and that there's barely any active cases.
How many are there in Australia right now?
I don't know.
143.
Active?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
How many have died?
How many have died? About, I'll tell you. about nearly over 1,000,
Okay. Now, what's the recovery rate?
about 90 something percent.
Okay. What's the best the vaccines say that they can do so far?
The best what, sorry?
What's the best percentages the vaccines say that they can do so far?
Well, one of them is 85%.
85%, and yet there's a recovery rate of 90 something percent. I think I'll take that extra 10%, and it's like gambling, mate. Wouldn't you gamble on something that's got a 10% better chance of survival? Right, it's a simple statistic.
Okay, yeah. Just about with the scandal with the royal family at the moment, can you see the Republican debate kind of coming up again?
I got to tell you, how long have I been elected for? 4.5 years.
Yes.
I think I've only been asked about an Australian republic probably 3 times by constituents.
Really?
Yeah.
But I just kind of think, why would you have a royal family across the other side of the world, where if you go to the Wickham, there's plenty of queens.
Yeah. Well, here's one for you.
It's not a priority for the residents around here. You know, just judging by the amount of traffic that I get on it. Like I said, over the years, I've probably had 3, maybe 4 people contact me about it, either in person like this, or by email.
Okay.
As an average person, I'm not opposed to a republic, but before we vote on a republic, I want to see the Bill of Rights and the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah.
I want to see all that written down first before we vote on it. Otherwise, you're voting on a pig and a poke, aren't you?
Yes, that's true. Yeah, you're right, I suppose so, yeah. And I suppose if something works, why would you kind of try and fix it? But I'm not a supporter of the royal come to Scotland. Like in the way we were sort of doing it, I'm not a supporter of the royal family at all, but...
Yeah, mate, I think they're a bunch of leeches myself, but
yeah.
The system we got is English-based.
Yes.
I think the system we got was working at one stage, but it's broken now because of the amount of corruption and greed that's in the political corporate system and the combination that they infest each other with.
Yeah.
And if we are going to have a republic, let's see the Constitution, let's see how it's worded, and let's see the Bill of Rights that's given to it before we vote on it. Otherwise, we vote, let's be a republic, and then you've got a bunch of his fellow workers, morons, actually making it up as a banana republic as they go, and that's what I don't want.
Right, okay, fair enough then. Anyway, lovely chatting to you, Trevor.
Always.
Okay, take care as always.
See you later, bud. Take it easy.
Cheers.
Yeah,
Trevor,
thanks for coming down.
That's my pleasure. Okay, thank you.
We will have to make a move, I'm sorry.
What about Putin challenging Biden for a debate?
That'd be funny.
Biden's a moron. I mean, that's only my personal opinion, only because of what I see on the...
I didn't even know that the Russian president had put that out into the world.
It was only out today.
I've had a busy day. Yeah, let me get us.
Put an O-ring on those.
We had one.
All right, I'm going to close this up now. Thanks for your time.